Welcome back, my friends. Relative Roads on the air again. You and I, we're gonna be your friend. Glad you're here. This episode is with a good friend of mine named Jason Michael Fong. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be tremendous. It's gonna be an awesome interview. Jason Michael Fong is a martial artist, does a lot of his own choreographed fight scenes in the action films that he has been in. He has been in the acting business for over a decade. He's worked with Hawaii Five-0. He's met Daniel Day Kim, also Chung Ji in Lost. He's been in scenes with him. He's worked with multiple friends of mine here in Sacramento. And I have to say, Jason is very talented at what he does and just a joy to watch on film. In this interview, we talk about our ethnic backgrounds. It just came up. And what it's like to be Asian American and kind of the cultural traditions that we're used to. Things we find normal that other people don't. We kind of talk a lot about acting and the community that we work in, and just a fun conversation. We kind of touch on, as always, a bunch of little things, and I want to welcome you to the conversation. I think you'll get a lot out of this. If you're looking for positive energy and a great connection, you're in the right place. Please enjoy this interview with a good friend, Jason Michael Fong. You can see his IG account at Jason Your Face on IG, JASONYERFACE. He's also got a website that's also listed in the description on his IG, popmoviemerch.com. A lot of great stuff on there, especially if you want to geek out on Marvel characters. Enjoy the conversation. Love, peace, and chicken grease all over your face.
I'm just a wandering nomad out on the interstate. Eventually all these roads just end up looking the same. And now it's time for another episode of Relative Road.
Jason Michael Fong, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Officially.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So we barely know each other, but we're tied to the same tight-knit community of actors in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because you kind of know each other through brotherhood.
Yes.
But isn't a whole lot about you.
Right.
But it's cool. And here's one thing that really kind of makes me feel really comfortable with you, is that you're really good friends with Ryan Cisak.
Right.
And that's a really good friend of mine.
Okay.
And I trust his judgment.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So, that kind of makes me feel like at home.
Right.
But yeah. Like I said, I was listening to that last podcast you did with No Big Deal.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was already getting some of the questions answered.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be a little creative as we go.
That's fine. Yeah. And if you have repeat questions, that's good too. That's fine.
Yeah.
You have a different audience, right? So.
I do. Yeah. I don't know quite yet, but yeah. Mm-hmm. I think according to the analytics, it's men between the ages of 18 to like 40 some odd.
That sounds about right for a lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
actually,
truck drivers, right? Yeah,
right on.
Yeah, roadsters of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. How did we meet? We met. Did we meet on set? Did we ever act together, or did we?
I don't think so.
We met at a party or something, a get together or something.
I know you did a lot of stuff with Smosh, but I think I've only done one or two things with them.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's been in.
Okay. I just remember when I met you, I got a good vibe. I was just like, this guy's pretty laid back. Yeah. He's easy to talk to. He's not fronting. He's pretty authentic.
He's brown.
He's brown. Yeah. Not trying to step on me. You know what I mean? Not trying to.
Yeah, no doubt.
Be all throwing around.
Not no pressure of any sorts.
No.
Yeah, not that I know of.
So okay. I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
What kind of brown are you? Because I wasn't sure when I first met you, right? I was like, okay, is this guy Filipino? Is this guy Mexican? What is this guy?
I understand the confusion. It's been interesting in the guise of a Mexican, but technically it is half Filipino, half American.
Okay.
White, Caucasian.
Okay.
Or what have
Okay,
you.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
It does.
When you mix like that, you kind of lean towards Mexican. Right?
Yeah, totally. Well, Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I've only been called out by a handful of people throughout my life that have called it on the spot.
Right.
Hey, you're Filipino.
Yeah,
What the
right.
fuck? How did you know that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
always kind of surprises me, but it's a pleasant surprise because it's like, wow, somebody's really paying attention.
Right. Right.
You know, so commendable. But typically, yeah, I'm summed up as Mexican.
Yeah. Have you ever been cast that way?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually gave me a lot of work.
Yeah.
It did.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some crazy momentum when I first started acting.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think. Just you know, I'm playful in that way. I don't mind us pretending.
Yeah,
whatever you
sure.
want me to be. You know.
Right.
And I think, as you know, when you're on set, that's part of networking. Is people are paying attention to your relationships that you're building, and they're like,
Right,
"Hey,
right.
he seems fun," and then
Yeah.
you explore, and
Yeah.
you know, you kind of set the tone for everybody's point of view on
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, Mexican. Terrible at the accent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've tried, but it sounds like a white racist man making fun of Mexicans. So yeah, I realized that a little
Yeah.
later in life. So
Yeah.
you know, there are some things that are recorded that I'd rather not exist, but whatever.
I feel you.
Yeah.
You know, being Chinese American, you know, I with a big emphasis on American because, you know, born and raised here.
Right.
So, you know, when I'm asked to do, a Chinese accent, it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So you don't speak Chinese?
I don't, unfortunately. I
Okay.
wish I did, but
So-
I kind of understand a few words. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it would be Cantonese, but not Mandarin. I don't understand Mandarin because I grew up with Cantonese in the household.
Sure.
So I understand a little bit of that, but I can't speak it. It's like, for me, it's difficult. I don't have the ear for languages in general.
Yeah. Well, your parents didn't talk to you in a different language?
Just mostly English.
Yeah.
But they're
the
fluent.
Asian?
Yeah, and so both of them are Chinese.
Oh, okay.
And they both are fluent.
Oh, okay,
But,
gotcha.
you know, they mostly spoke English
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if there was a rationale behind that. I don't think it's any
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything deep. It was just that's just how they
Right.
You know.
That's just what they
That's just what they
verbalized with
Right.
is English.
right. So I picked up English. So,
Yeah. Did you ever have any resentment for them not passing that on to you?
No resentment towards them.
Yeah.
I think if there's any resentment at all, and I wouldn't say it was a high level of resentment, but it's just the way society is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're treated so differently that I can understand why some Asian Americans, regardless of whether they're Chinese or some other group, would sort of force themselves to integrate and assimilate.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't blame them for that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of that where, you know, you're almost bullied into not, you know, bullied into conforming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So-
Yeah, I personally had a little bit of resentment. It was like, you could have given me at least that.
Some Tagalog or
Yeah.
some whatever. I'm not sure. You know, there's several dialects, right? So-
Yeah, there are actually. Speaking of Cantonese and Mandarin, like
Right.
I couldn't differentiate.
You got
I
it.
mean,
Yeah, Ilocano or Pangasinan or whatever. and all
yeah,
that.
I don't even know that shit.
right.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah,
I don't even
that's-
know what dialects there are.
That's all right though. you know?
Tagalog is the only
Tagalog is the
thing
one
I-
that's pretty
Yeah.
recognizable.
Yeah.
People, I mean, they know the name, the
Yeah.
term, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Thinking about it, I think I shut out my Filipino heritage for some time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was some sort of an embarrassment issue
Right.
but I didn't really embrace it till much later in life.
Right. And I think that's pretty common, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that way about being Chinese? Kind of like,
Yeah, you know, when you're growing up,
Yeah.
you're always kind of treated like an outsider. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm not saying it was terribly bad all the time, but
Yeah.
you get that little bit of bullying or whatever, you know,
Right.
and it makes you feel different. And of course, you want to fit in.
Yeah.
Right? That's the number one thing,
Right.
regardless of what your
but
background is. Right.
it certainly gave you an extra personality trait.
Right.
When you're trying to convince people that's not really what's going on here.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be sort of creative in that way.
Yeah.
Which I think is really what happens to a lot of minorities. Is it's weird because we're American
Yeah.
on the inside because
Right.
this is what we're made of is ideas born in America. So we grow up with
culturally,
those.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's how I think
Right.
how I feel on the inside.
Right.
And so when my outside is brought up in conversation, it's like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's kind of right, because you don't think of it every day, right?
Yeah.
But when someone reminds you of it, then you're like, oh, right,
Yeah.
And then and depending on how they bring that up, it could be kind of off-putting,
Sure.
or it's welcome because maybe they're curious,
Right.
You know,
they're
like
genuinely curious.
Curious about your culture or what have you.
Yeah.
I think we always have that one foot too in that culture too, right?
Yeah.
So you're not just
not
you know,
completely.
right.
Yeah.
You know, there's things that that are uniquely Chinese that are still in my life,
Right.
and I don't think twice about them. You know, they're
Sure.
they're great. They're part of
Right.
my life.
Yeah.
Until somebody points it out, right, and
Yeah.
says, points it out in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes,
I got to take my shoes off at the front of the
yeah.
boat?
What the hell is that about? Well, why not?
How many rice cookers does one need? What the hell?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
I have the same thing. I there are elements of Asian culture in my life because Chinese had an influence on the Philippines as well, and so my mother is drawn to those things, and that's what she that's part of who she is.
Part of her, yeah.
The Asian culture.
Yeah.
So, but I don't get too far away from it, like you said, one foot in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you born?
I was born in Sacramento.
Oh, born in.
Born and raised here in Sacramento. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And did you ever go to L.A.?
No, for acting.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah.
No interest in it.
I think there was some interest a while back, and then I just decided not to go down.
Yeah.
It's just I think and just to be quite frank, I think there's a little bit of fear there, of going down, and because I've heard so many stories of Sacramento actors going down and coming back.
Yeah.
They turn right around within months.
Interesting.
Not even years. But I always had the feel of like, well, if I can't do a lot up here, then why take the risk to go down there?
Yeah.
So, plus I don't like traffic, man. I know you drive truck.
It don't mean I like traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. But you might be just a little more used to it than me.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure, fair enough.
I don't know.
I have my moments.
Yeah,
man.
I bet.
And I got the advantage of having a big truck.
True.
Y'all better get the hell out of the way.
But LA traffic, I don't know, man.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. I understand. I mean, I hear the same horror stories.
Yeah.
And I have the same, experience with friends who come back, or even friends who disappear into the wilderness of LA.
Right, they stay down there, but
I don't know where the hell they are, what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, they're not doing what they went down there for.
Correct. Yeah, they get swallowed up by life.
Right.
Which I think is the really interesting part is, for one, in the philosophy I've told myself, is that why do I need to go to LA for something I can do here?
Right.
And probably get more work here.
Yeah.
And if it is for the art and my heart's set on the the right goal, then here is fine.
Right.
Because if you're trying to become a celebrity or get famous and you think LA is going to be the answer for that, then you go down there to face the devil, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, like when I was younger, I was working a lot, and it was here. It was like I was getting a lot of work in Sacramento and getting a lot of work in San Francisco. Things have actually slowed down in the past couple of years, but when I first started, for a long time, I can't say I was making a full-time living off of it.
Oh, okay.
That was never the case.
Yeah.
But I was working so much that I was like, well, why do I need to go down there?
Yeah.
I got some work here and I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Again, it was never full time. Always had a day job.
Right.
But,
and what is your day job?
So I work as a project manager for a creative agency. So we do graphic design, web stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. So our clients are, they need marketing. So we do that. But I've had other day jobs before what I do now, and I just was able to make it work. And I felt like, well, why pick up and move to LA and whatnot? Just expensive. Your chances are even slimmer.
Yeah.
I think after a certain point, you take a little more realistic look at
why you're doing things.
Your why. And also what your market appeal is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
That's how it
Well,
shook
so
out.
there's less work to be had, or you're not getting as much work from.
You mean currently?
Yeah, you're saying it's slowed down.
It has slowed down a little bit. Yeah, I think I've started to age out a little bit,
Interesting.
and I don't necessarily mean chronological age. I just mean that casting directors are typically looking for the next, new face.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily youth, although that's part of it.
Sure.
But I think you show up in the door, as many times as you do. Eventually, they want other people coming through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just how it is.
That happened to me. I think I was doing work with M Train.
Okay.
I know you've done some stuff with them.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
They're fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
And, but eventually I think either I aged out or I might have put my foot in my mouth at some point.
I don't know about that.
Well, no, I made a comment one time to the CEO.
Yeah.
She was doing the paperwork and I was signing for my payment.
Yeah.
And I blurted something out relative to money. And I thought I was being funny.
Right.
But looking back at it, I'm like, that was so inappropriate. Like,
Right.
Why would you do that?
Right.
Idiot, But I did it. It was done. And it was like, it's one of those things that taught me something about me.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But as far as like not working for them anymore, or really, I haven't really tried otherwise because it's just a huge time commitment.
Right.
And I, between work and this currently, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I was just curious because you were working I almost thought you were doing it full time now.
Yeah. I think a lot of people thought that. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I ever put that illusion out there. I never did, at least not intentionally. But I've always worked.
You're just showing up.
Yeah, just show up
in that
just
scenario.
Yeah, you just keep grinding, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
and
to go back to your earlier point about not having to be down in LA, I mean, especially now, look, you've got this podcast and
I know everybody's producing something.
Yeah, and everyone's producing something because the equipment is affordable now. It's accessible. And you can do it from anywhere. The internet can, look at YouTube, We're already past that first what do you call it, gold rush.
Right.
But that's the power of the internet is look at Smosh. We worked on Smosh together. Or, we both not together, but you know what I mean? Yeah. We've been on Smosh and that's where it started. It wasn't in LA.
Yeah.
They didn't go to LA until later on.
Right.
So anybody can do this now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think producing, it's almost like if you really, really wanted to do something, you could do all of it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
But I mean, if you chip away at it over time, it may not be as fast as you would want necessarily, but you could still have the potential to produce something. And I think that's the key really is just do something.
Do something.
Yeah. And eventually because I think it eliminates the whole idea that you need to go anywhere to do anything.
Yeah, and that you need somebody to
do it for you
or open a door for you.
Yeah.
I mean, down the road, maybe you need that door open.
Of course.
But that door's not going to open unless you start building.
Unless you have the numbers to prove that there's something worthwhile.
Exactly.
I've learned that too, because it's like I've reached out to several people for the podcast, and I'm just kind of working through this thought process with you, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
But I've reached out to several people, and not everybody replies. The initial reaction I have is sort of narrow-minded. I'm like, what the hell's their problem? Why don't they want to at least respond?
Right.
And but I'll catch myself doing that, which I think is key, because it's like, all right, this is a sales game. And if you came to somebody and you had low numbers and you wanted them to invest in your business, don't you think they'd be a little skeptical as well?
Right.
So in terms of sales,
I
I have to keep that in mind and just ignore the rejection and keep burrowing through the mud so that I can get to the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been an interesting process of producing something yourself.
Right.
So you have to trudge through all that groundwork before you can get that momentum. And no, it's not personal with anybody.
No.
People are busy earning money. Time is money.
Right.
And that's the other thing about local acting too, is after a while it's like I'm worth this time.
Right.
And if if you're not going to pay me for that time for this
Right.
this level of production,
Right.
yeah, kind of.
That's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
It's kind of a business, and that's a good point. I mean, I said yes because I first of all already kind of know you, right?
Yeah.
So that helps,
Yeah.
right? But then I go and I looked at what you had going on, previous episodes and whatnot, and listened to here and there. I'm like, okay,
Sure.
But like again, even if I didn't know you, I would listen to your work and be like, okay, this guy seems on the level, But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, people are people, right? And
Yeah.
and they're they've got other things going on, and some of them are just like it's not worth it to me or whatever,
And fine.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Understandable.
but there's so many factors of that. There's so many other things to
Yes.
talk about with that because I'm like, at least get back to the guy.
Maybe,
I mean, did you get
yeah.
ghost? I mean, some of them ghosted you, not even say anything, not even
No, some. Here's the other thing too: is I have to allow time for that to reach their reality,
right.
because I'm just throwing out in space, literally.
Right.
I'm throwing this message in a phone.
Right.
God knows what happens between now and the time they actually get it.
True.
So if they don't respond in some lengthy amount of time, by then I should be over it anyways
Right.
and on to other things.
Right.
So chronologically, if I allow myself to see all the sides of what it is I'm trying to do, there's no reason for me to freak out.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me
That's good, yeah.
to lose my mind over anything because
Sure.
momentum's momentum.
Sure.
And it's only there if I create it.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like breaking down the science of succeeding.
Yeah.
Because success is whatever you want to deem as your success
Right.
is fine. But the process of succeeding is really just about creating momentum and self-sustaining that momentum.
Right. Numbers game, everything.
Yeah, totally. Well, numbers matter.
Yeah.
I used to not really give a shit and
Yeah.
think, well, people are the only thing that matters. Well,
Yeah.
the numbers matter too.
A little bit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm recording this on video.
good.
I want people to be able to see Mike. That's
Hi,
Mike right there.
my name is Mike Haley, and this is the Relative Roads podcast.
That's him right there.
Yeah.
The man himself.
So I'm going to scan up and down. So what I've done here, so I'm going to be open and honest with you.
Yeah.
I printed your bio from IMDB, highlighted some things that interest me.
Okay.
And then having watched that other podcast, episode 101
I think so.
of
I think
Not
so.
a Big Deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Which you can hear Jason's some of Jason's life stories there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, I printed that out, and then I have some interview questions that are still ground level.
Yeah.
And I had realized the other day that I'm really just learning journalism
Okay. Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
I think with podcasting, there's that element of personal style
Yes.
where I can kind of do things my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the idea is to make the thing about you mostly, so that you can enjoy this and
All right.
work out whatever theories you want to work out in this forum.
All right. Sounds good to me.
So yeah, man, I'm glad you're a smart, intellectual type of guy. I don't feel like I have to explain everything, so I'll stop.
I'll pretend to be smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up in Sac.
Yep.
You went to UC Davis.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Hot dog. Shut
Local.
up, phone.
Local boy.
Local boy.
Yeah.
So you went to Davis for your whole degree?
Yeah. pretty
Okay.
much, Yeah.
And
yeah.
what is your degree? It was
It was called Rhetoric and Communication back then.
okay.
Which
What is
was,
that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
What the hell
that?
is that?
Well, they changed it. I saw like several years ago, they changed it to just communication because rhetoric was just kind of throwing people off. And quite frankly, I don't know what the hell that was doing in the title. But yeah, I mean, it ran the gamut from, public speaking to, writing to even collecting data like surveys and things like that. I mean, it was ages ago, so I
Yeah.
can't remember everything.
Yeah.
I can only remember what I really enjoyed, and that was the public speaking course. And, writing little mini speeches, a little bit longer speeches and giving those in class and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was what I really enjoyed. And I also really enjoyed just, in general, just writing essays,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, my favorite, subjects were English, things like that.
Yeah.
English and literature,
Yeah. So that stuck with you.
Yeah. To an extent, yeah.
Yeah. Were you an extrovert as a child or introverted in any way?
Not at all. I'm pretty introverted. I'm still very introverted.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had the same experience.
Yeah. I mean, I can turn it on if I have to,
Sure.
but yeah, it's like Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's an effort. It takes an effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Were you nervous? Were you a nervous child, a shy child?
I guess I was shy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like hide behind your mother's leg kind of shy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Interesting. And at some point, I'm guessing through college, you kind of learned to open up with what you were studying.
Yeah, I think I opened up a little bit in high school.
Okay.
Probably the later, junior or senior years,
Yeah.
which kind of makes sense to me looking back on it because you're really new and you're kind of an outsider when you're a freshman.
Yeah.
And then as people start graduating out and you start moving up, you become a little more popular.
Sure.
You
Sure, the hierarchy
Yeah,
sort of
the hierarchy
evolves.
kind of, yeah. So, got involved in more activities then and that sort of thing. But, yeah, college, I think I kind of expanded me some more, but I think, I really had to come out of my shell though with acting, right? I mean,
Sure.
you have to.
But you've been doing acting since before.
Probably, yeah. I would say I started in high school.
Oh, okay.
But never did any drama or theater in high school. But just on camera,
Just classes
stuff.
and
on camera stuff and
okay.
classes. But yeah, I mean, I think breaking out of the shell was a process.
Yeah.
A longer process. Probably a little bit happened in high school, a little bit in college, and then of
Sure.
course you get into the working world, and you gotta be on.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part.
For the most
Unless
part,
you
yeah.
find yourself a quiet cubicle to stick your face in.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
there are people who
Yeah.
are not quite so extroverted. But
Not to derail anything, but just speaking of acting and acting classes, we lost a pretty big
Charlie Holiday.
member of the community. Yeah. Charlie Holiday just very recently.
yeah, I've seen and heard
Yeah.
all the things, but I don't have a personal tie to.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I met Charlie. First time I met Charlie was I was doing some extra work, and I had not done real real acting yet.
Yeah.
I just was doing extra work, and one of my earlier extra jobs was for like Amtrak or something. It's at the train station, and Charlie was there. I think Charlie was an extra. I'm not sure if he was an extra or a principal, but he was on set regardless. And I don't remember what happened. I don't know if I was like taking direction wrong or whatever, but I must have been doing something stupid. But eventually Charlie came up to me and like he didn't say a word, and he just handed me his business card because he's an acting coach, acting teacher. And I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? I'm like, all right, and I don't know. Most people might be turned off by that or something or whatever. That some dude just randomly hands you. I don't know, but to me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, if this means that I'll get better at this and get bigger
Sure.
opportunities besides extra work, I'll go check this out. So I ended up taking some classes from Charlie, and he was one of my first acting teachers. I had some before him, but this is when I was getting back into it and getting more serious. So yeah, it's he was a great guy. I can't say that we've remained close over the years.
Sure,
we kind of grew apart, and I moved on and had other teachers, but very nice man. And very, very talented, and taught me a lot. My first, my first introduction to acting classes that made sense. I had some before that, but this is the one that like he made sense to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I picked things up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a pretty practical teaching method.
yeah.
Well, sorry for the loss, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the community has suffered a great loss. And It's done a lot for. I mean, you could look online and see everybody, with their tributes to him.
Right.
He's taught a lot of the community that we're in. So
Well, his legacy lives on.
yeah,
Clearly, I mean, when somebody passes like that, and you see the uproar, on social media,
right.
it's interesting. Just to let you know, my girlfriend's son he's in here. So if you hear noises,
I don't hear anything. I just have the headphones.
but I
on.
mean, if he comes out,
okay.
and then
All right,
because that last time I forgot to let my guests know, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?"
I shouldn't jump up and sock some kid in the face.
Keep the martial arts in your pocket. Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of martial arts,
when
did you start that? Because you started acting just before high school. Was it always there too?
Yeah, to some extent. I don't. I wish that's a regret I have is I didn't continue with it throughout my growth. I started doing a little bit of martial arts around 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
With my dad. My dad was a very serious martial artist in his own right. He never opened a school or taught.
Okay.
But he, as a young man, trained like a lot, religiously trained in Wing Chun. And so, when I was younger, he offered to teach me, and I kind of reluctantly, said yes.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit, but as one knows, some people know, sons and fathers tend to butt heads.
Sure.
And it was one of those things where I was just not mature enough and mentally prepared enough to continue it and listen to my father give me instruction.
It's tough.
And, it's probably tough for my father as well, trying to find the right way to train me in a way that's effective and firm yet fits my style of learning.
Yeah.
And so there was that kind of conflict.
Sure.
But we were able to push through it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I had like a base foundation of Wing Chun.
Oh, okay.
And then and I really regret not continuing because it would have been easier to continue as a young child.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I was more into arts and things like that. So I wasn't a real athletic kid.
Yeah.
I think I'm a lot more athletic now than I ever was as a kid. I started to get more athletic, I think in college, a little bit in high school, a little bit in college. I never played sports, but I started to work out. And by working out, I developed more like physical awareness. What is it? Kinesiology or whatever?
Yeah,
kinesthetic,
got me with that word. I don't know. But
kinesthetic awareness. And so, athleticism increased and made me more interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then over the years, I would be dabbling in martial arts on and off. So I did, took a little bit of Krav Maga in my 20s and then dabbled in some Jeet Kune Do in my 20s. And then I just dropped it. I basically dropped it again because just, life kind of takes over.
Yeah.
And I was putting more emphasis in the acting side of things, performing. So I was, getting into singing classes, took many years of singing, doing theater. And as you know, theater takes up a lot of time.
Yes.
And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm reaching 40,
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to get back into something, and see it through.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do.
See it through.
I know all about this. Is a part of that process.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And everybody comes to these things on their own and in their own time.
Yeah.
So I signed up and 4.5 years, took 4.5 years and got a black belt, I know my school wants me to come back and continue, but life's gotten busy again,
Sure. No, that makes sense.
But I'm happy that I stuck it out and, got the first degree at least.
Got yourself a little certification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. First degree black
That's
belt.
cool, man. It's cool to put that on your resume too,
Yeah.
Writing that out, first degree black belt, bitch.
It's really, it's really the first step though.
Yeah.
It's not really, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, your first degree is another white belt.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. I like to smell the flowers sometimes, and
Oh, absolutely.
you put that work in there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You get that on your resume, and good for you, man.
Definitely proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying it at all, but
Yeah.
but keeping the humble side out.
Of course,
there.
yeah. I understand.
You know what
that
I mean?
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. Stay humble. Don't get cocky.
Yeah, because it is really the first step.
Karma likes cocky. Yeah. She'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But good, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, because when I was thinking about interviewing you, I thought about, I wonder if he grew up watching martial arts films and got super interested in that stuff, and then it translated to your real life. So, there's a part of you that, the hero story in your head has a lot to do with martial arts and sort of the dance in and out of reality and And because martial arts is really sort of a graceful way of existence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I do.
it ties your physical existence in with your internal existence, and
Right.
like there's this really weird dance type thing that happens.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah. I think it definitely changed me for the better.
Yeah.
You know, I think it filled in gaps
Yeah.
in my growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking
Sure.
about, you know,
Yeah.
internal, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really odd to get those kinds of benefits so late in life because I probably could have used them. Again, that's why I regret not doing it, you know, as a child. I think I could have used a lot of those qualities back then as I was growing up. But again, things happen in their own time.
Yeah.
So I feel like I got more confident. Also, it does help with humility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that it has given you some strategies and formulas to deal with reality and cope with stresses of life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's the part that I'm most intrigued by, because any discipline that you put yourself through, whether in childhood or later in life or whatever the case may be, it's just another way to compartmentalize things.
Right.
And I admire that.
Yeah.
You know, about anybody. I don't know a whole lot of lifetime martial artists.
Right.
But the speculation of it giving you some sense of calm.
Yes.
In this storm of possibilities.
Right.
It's a very appealing discipline to have.
Yeah. I do know some lifetime martial artists who just like, they're constantly training. You know, it's like that's their life. Like the way that you and I, you know, might brush our teeth, you know, that's how long they're doing it, and that's how long they intend to do it. Like it's like breathing. Right. And yeah, there's a tremendous sense of calm about them and humility.
Yeah.
My nose is running right now. It's just.
You need a tissue?
I think I got one in here somewhere.
You sure? Take your time, man. It's all good. I can edit the shit out of this stuff. And I have done.
I think that's either allergies or something. I don't know. It could be the dogs. I don't know.
Oh, ship. Well, maybe it's my fake plant.
They're fine. No, they're fine. I'm good.
It could be my fake plant.
Could be I'm weeping. No.
Oh, yeah. So you're real sensitive about martial arts. That's good. We hit the soft spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of a cocky bastard, you know, in my 20s, late 20s when I started getting back into acting, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're kind of throwing your weight around a little bit.
A little bit, you know. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
So martial arts didn't humble you completely, but it certainly helped. Or did that happen after the cocky?
The martial arts happened after.
So it did humble you.
Yeah. So
Nice.
So I got back into martial arts when I did this the 4.5 years. It was I was 39. 39.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I could start right now and get myself a black belt.
Yeah, I was 39. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it did humble you.
Yeah, it did.
In what way? Like how did that process work?
I don't know, man. You know, you go through it. It's really hard to explain. You know, it's an experience. Yeah, it's really hard to explain if you've not gone through the process.
Sure.
But to try to explain the effect, I don't know. I don't think I'm like, you know, the shit anymore, you know? Not that I'm down on myself.
Sure.
But I'm not going around thinking I'm the best actor or the best whatever, you know? I think, it's hard to explain. It's just the process you go through. You're learning something new. Everything is new. You know, you're trying to memorize these movements, but not only that, you're trying to add intent behind the movements.
Yeah.
Sparring really humbles you.
Yeah.
Eating punches from a more advanced student, you know.
Knock sense into
yeah,
you.
it'll knock some sense into you. Knock the shit out of you, and you know what I mean. And in a lot of ways, and it's funny, you know, I feel like lately I've been putting acting on the back burner because I don't necessarily need it anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do. It's just about self-expression now.
Right.
And there are other ways to do that.
There's other ways to do that. And here's another thing, and it's not to sound cocky or arrogant or anything, but after getting my black belt, it was kind of like there's like an irony to it or a paradox to it. I feel like going on an audition and getting, scrutinized is like, fuck that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Who are you to be on the other side of that table looking at what I'm doing and judging, you know what I mean? Judging me.
I do. Yeah.
And it's weird that going through the process of earning that black belt and knowing what that means to me personally, I feel like, I have nothing to prove to you.
Yeah.
Does it, you know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
And it's going to come across, some people might interpret this as coming across cocky or
it doesn't matter.
Or arrogant. And it's not coming from that place. It's coming from a different place. For me personally, it's coming from like self-worth.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't need the validation. So therefore I've kind of stepped back from acting.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because I just don't feel like, whoever's across the table, and maybe they are martial artists, I don't know.
Sure.
But 9 times out of 10, they probably aren't, right? And I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know you're going to go back and take your little notes, and
Sure.
he's this and he's that and he's not this and he's not that. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really care about your judgment at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. And I think related to producing your own material, I think for me, it's been another reason to look at the why. Mm-hmm. Why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Well, to express myself. Well, if I'm doing somebody else's work, am I really expressing myself? And the questions get deeper and deeper. Right. And it always ends up, well, I have all the potential to do all the things I'm looking for.
Right.
So why am I continuing to, look externally?
Right.
It's here.
Right.
The possibility is here and now.
Right.
And so it justifies stepping back. And it alleviates some pressure because you kind of, those stories you run with when you're trying to work as an actor, have a lot to do with feeling accepted and being validated by someone else.
Right.
And so it's like you're just growing.
Yeah.
You're growing and you're learning about yourself. And that's one of the great things about acting, I think, is that you learn a lot about you trying to do these other characters. And when you grow out of it, sort of in the way that you have, it's not that that's left you.
Right.
It's just that you don't need to do it anybody else's way.
Right.
And so the only time I think you would be as enthusiastic as you should be in an acting environment is if you've got yourself invested in it, in the production of it.
Right.
And that's the thing that I'm kind of looking for myself is I know people like you and other people in the community that have that same desire and that same understanding. And only time will tell, if and when that happens.
Right. And I think it goes back to also, like you said, your why and why I got into acting in the first place. I think, like 10 years ago, I probably would have told you I love telling other people's stories and I love bringing this character to life. Yeah. But really, if you think about it, or at least personally for me, and I can't speak for any other actors, but I mean, I think I got into it probably for the wrong reasons. Probably there was some hole that I was trying to fill. Yeah. Like being validated. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Likewise.
Like not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
Or wherever that comes from. And so once I did this thing, whether it be, it doesn't have to be martial arts for other people, but for me, it happened to be this.
Sure.
It filled that hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I no longer need somebody to validate me.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, and it has nothing to do with being able to beat somebody up. That's, it's all internal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are those gaps that I think it filled for me.
Yeah.
Self-confidence, but also that validation and, just it's like you said, growth.
Yeah, and I think to take a stab at it philosophically, I think when you're taught something like martial arts, which is a very physical experience, that the way it's internalized is you're witnessing vulnerability, right? Because you're the action of artistically moving a body around so that you can intercept that vulnerability.
Right.
It has to humble you,
right?
Because then you not only see that with your opponents, but you see it about yourself.
Yeah. Right.
And knowing that that there's inevitably somebody out there who can attack that vulnerability.
Right.
It makes you respect other people from that same perspective.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
philosophically, that's how I think it works.
Right.
Which is why I think it does, you know, an inherent humbling process.
Right. Right.
You know, doing that. So I too have a resentment not studying that early on in life.
Right.
I dabbled here and there.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I traveled a lot. My mom put me in, pulled
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah.
And it was like I never really stood a chance.
Yeah.
But if we're like moving past blaming our parents,
Yeah.
I have the ability to do that now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's never too late.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and come on, man, 50% of you
Yeah.
has a tremendous culture behind it in martial arts.
That's
you know
so
this.
funny. Yeah.
You know this.
Shit, I can't shy away from
Escrima.
that fact.
Yeah. Escrima.
Yeah,
Kali. Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny what these little these little communities, these civilizations on islands come up with to take up their time.
Oh my God. But it wasn't even taking their time. It was a necessity.
Defense, yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
That's how come it, you know, became so, you know, they became so good at it.
It's beautiful though, isn't it? It starts tribal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
within the villages, within that civilization.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when America came about, it's not an American cultural thing, typically.
Right.
Martial arts being that. And maybe now,
Now, yeah, right.
because
now.
it's commercialized and it's
Right.
a sport of sorts.
Right.
But, you know, when it was a basic function of everyday life,
Yeah.
like, you know, these people that you said, it's like brushing teeth.
Yeah.
That's not part of our culture here,
Right.
typically.
Right. Typically. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it would be really interesting if that became
Yeah.
a normalized part of culture,
Yeah. It would be interesting
wouldn't it?
because you would see a different level of evolution.
Yeah.
But also, you know, just because we'd have martial arts doesn't necessarily mean we're perfect beings, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. But to teach respect in a way that would be, I think, considered musical
Right.
in a sense,
Right.
because you're essentially orchestrating the body as if it's a musical instrument.
Correct.
It creates a dance-like effect.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it comes to trying to understand life, music is one of the things that really make the most sense.
Yeah.
That can be undescribable at times,
Right.
but it's transcendent.
Right.
Same thing with any artistic measure. It's
Right.
transcendent.
Right.
And so I think it's funny because, like, when politics come up and you think about different approaches, totalitarian, I can't even say that word, communism. Let me just
Right.
say that word
Yeah.
because it comes up a lot. But it's funny because I kind of think, like, if we enforce the youth to study these things,
Yeah.
you know, like, it would probably be better for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You
There's a
know?
lot of I mean, think about it. A lot of kids would benefit from it. You know,
Completely.
just the discipline,
Yeah.
the consistency,
Yeah.
the ritual,
Yeah. The accountability.
accountability, or the regularity of some kind of study.
Yeah.
You know, and then like you said, the respect.
Yeah.
I think even I became more respectful.
Totally.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's what I
as
was
an
saying.
old ass man.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
You know, kind of calming down.
Sure,
you
but
know?
good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you that you found that,
Yeah.
you know, that need within you. Like,
Yeah.
I need to do something because this jackass is getting
Yeah.
me in trouble.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
totally. You kind of, because there's the you, then there's the, you know, the ego you. And so
Right.
when you're like sort of watching yourself
You
go
gotta-
through life.
Yeah.
You're like, you need something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no kids?
No kids.
No kids.
kids.
See, I think that's another part of it too. It's like you've got all this energy that you have to distribute
Right.
in the community, and it's like might as well be productive.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I enjoy kids. They're cool. You know. I mean,
For sure.
We had kids in the martial arts class. You know,
Yeah.
and it's always fun to teach them something and see their minds kind of expand.
Yeah,
And just
no doubt.
explode in there.
See the light come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that light come on, and they're just like, wow. You're like, yeah, that's how it works,
Yeah.
man. And just
It's a lot of responsibility too.
It is.
Because I know that when you see their face light up, you're like, oh shit, I better do something real good with this time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful thing though.
Yeah.
Do you want kids?
No, No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good at this point.
All right. Well, let me know if you change your mind.
See, I can always rent yours, and then I can return.
Yeah. Teach them a thing or two.
You know,
Bring them back by 11.
Just bring them back, and that way I don't have to.
Yeah, no doubt.
Keep
You don't
them.
have to
You know?
deal with the garbage.
But that's something you can possibly explore with your son maybe down the road.
Absolutely.
Is learn together, go to a school together,
Yeah, but I've asked him, and he's not interested.
and that's fine.
But I'm wondering if that's just sort of a lazy reaction.
Could be.
You know what I mean? Because I think what he's doing is he's looking at it as complex,
Yeah.
and he's intimidated to the
Right.
point where he's like, "Nah, I don't want to do it." So I'm curious. Maybe the approach should be to get him to fall in love with it.
Right.
So I've got to,
Or just expose him to it and let him draw his own conclusions.
Maybe start with some movies, and
in movies, and then maybe observe a class without having to step on the mat right away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because that's kind of like, that was my obstacle as a child. I was just like kind of lazy.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a kid, you're kind of lazy.
Yeah. So how old are you now?
45.
45. So 80s were a big part of your youth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had the same experience.
Yeah.
And I think we were the first generation with ADD.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
A little undiagnosed.
Can you imagine growing up now, though? I mean, like,
No.
nobody's going to want to, like,
No.
a 10-year-old is not going to want to step on a mat.
No.
Unless, like you said, unless you show him or her, or, you know, what it is, and have them fall in love with it on their own.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the key, I think, is I had a conversation with my son's teacher. We had a parent-teacher conference last week.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, he's doing mostly well. He's a regular boy, you know, he's a social butterfly. So he's, you know, his energy is focused primarily on making friends.
Yeah.
The kids at that school, I can only really speak to that to some degree, are obsessed with YouTube. They're a YouTube culture.
Right.
And to go a little deeper, they're video production enthusiasts. They really like the idea of creation in that realm.
Right.
And so I was telling his teacher, I'm like, it'd be cool if you could use that to your advantage in terms of what the kids retain. Because I know sitting in this class, listening to you drown out, you know, it's like they're struggling.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if the material can be integrated with media production,
right,
you've got them.
Yeah.
You will get them.
Yeah.
If they come home bragging about class, you're on to something.
Yeah.
So I was sharing that with her. And I told her, you know, I know that public school curriculum has you tied down in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're capable of, what your limitations are.
Yeah.
But if you could, and I'm a little braggadocious about this. I felt good about this epiphany with her. So, but we celebrated the idea together because it was really interesting and to think maybe they could, because you know how, like, I don't know if you know, but in school they send home homework, they send worksheets, and on those worksheets there's an example problem that works the problem out for you. Mm-hmm. Then you can take that information and do the rest of the work.
Okay.
And I was thinking, well, if they took the example problem, somehow made that into a video production, not only could they access it at home, but they probably won't even need to, because the process of making it just sits right where it needs to be in their imagination.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they can realistically, if they want to expand themselves in the realm of YouTube and self-production or self-promotion, then they have the foundation of it.
Right.
And like any kid out there, you want them to be interested in what they're doing,
right,
in order to really get the juices out of it.
Right.
So that was kind of my thing for reaching the kids. Yeah. But same goes in any. Well, you were saying, you know, kids today, it's going to be tough. Yeah. You know, but it's tough for me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to look at my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're struggling with that.
Yeah, a little bit. I think we all do. Yeah. We're all a little bit addicted to it.
Yeah.
But I don't have the issue of like sitting down with somebody. Yeah. And not having it. I don't have that.
Well,
issue.
It's a missed art.
Yeah.
Or I think people are
like, it's scary how much I really respect people that sit down and have lunch with me or something and they don't look at their phone at all. Yeah. I find myself really respecting that. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, why do we have to respect that so much?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all under fire in terms of technology.
Yeah.
It's coming fast.
Yeah. But but that connectedness is, for me, It's important. I don't want to be looking at my phone while someone's talking to me, and I don't want them doing the same, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're yearning for it, I would assume.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, we're human beings. We want the connection, and we're losing it because of, you know, device usage.
Do you ever try to attempt to mitigate your usage in any way?
Yeah, I just delete some of the apps off of my,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
like Facebook or Twitter. I don't have those apps on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you just get messages.
Yeah, I do get messages, and then like I have it on my computer on my desktop for work because there's some marketing things that we have to do, so I still have to be on it and look at it.
Sure.
So unfortunately, you know, that can
See, that's what I mean. It's
tempt you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're exposed.
So, but to try it, like you said, to try to mitigate it, I personally, I just try not to have it on my phone.
Yeah.
I have Instagram though on my phone because I'm kind of addicted to Instagram.
You just can't handle all of them.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm trying to cut back. You know,
fair. That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of going cold turkey, I just cut back.
Yeah. Yeah, because it almost seems impossible to completely let go,
Yeah.
especially if what you do for a living constitutes using a smartphone.
Right, and picking up ideas and
Yeah.
things like that we can apply to marketing.
Yeah. So it's really either you embrace it or you
Yeah.
figure that shit out. Because
Yeah.
why stress?
Right.
Yeah.
And Facebook, I've been on a lot less just because it's just kind of gotten out of control with
I'm curious what
certain
your
people's.
Yeah,
you know,
what is your
posts.
perception of that? Sounds like you've got some.
Just there's you witness people sharing their politics on there, and you know, it's just and I don't lean in any direction real fiercely, but I just see people get so fired up and logic goes out the window, and I'm just like, wow, man. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but I was raised to never discuss politics and religion with your friends, right?
Okay.
And that's always been a very good policy.
I like the principle of that. And then more so now than ever.
Yeah. So I don't, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, it just causes too much. You know, people are just too emotionally invested in whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can lightly touch on stuff, but I'm not going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to commit to a full-blown conversation about
Why-
that with friends.
What is the reason for not fully indulging?
Well, you can see it on Facebook, you know.
Yeah.
People that used to be friends are no longer friends because, you know what I mean?
Because there's something about that.
Something
I
about,
I
you know
understand.
you know what I mean?
Trust me.
And I don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have friends.
Right.
And I think ultimately, and this is what people seem to be ignoring these days, and ultimately, you know, you can sit down, you should be able to sit down face to face with somebody who has opposing views of yours, as long as they're within reason, right?
Right.
They're not trying to kill you
Sure,
because of the color of your skin or something.
Yeah.
But just basic, you know, views and beliefs around politics and whatever, religion. You should be able to sit down with someone that you disagree with and still have a meal, break bread, and still get along.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not going to name any people, but there are people that I am close to that we don't share views.
Yeah.
And, you know, common views, but I know that person's a really good person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I'm not going to throw
Trust
the
me,
baby
I
out
do.
with the bathwater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because we disagree on something,
Yes.
right? You know what I mean?
Well, I think you're hitting on something really important, and it's any individual's ability to navigate an authentic friendship that is based on some really profound fundamentals between people.
Right.
And I think that when it comes to opinions, political opinions, religious opinions, those are very personal things.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, because nobody knows what's truly going on in either of those categories.
Right.
There's no finite way to look at things.
Yeah.
And so when you open a discussion about topics like that, it needs to stay open and embracing, and
Right.
to exchange theories is one thing. I mean, if you can turn on your scientific mind, it can be a really playful place to be, and really exciting and educating and thrilling.
Right.
Just as we design entertainment for. It's the same
Right.
principle, right?
Right.
Is to share ideas.
Right.
And I think that here lately, I don't know what you've heard as far as the podcast that I've put on, but we do get into spirituality and politics and things. And it's been mostly about me trying to figure out what of that information is worthwhile.
Right.
In terms of what I keep in my head.
Sure.
Because sometimes it's like, why would I drive around the city thinking that I should feel a certain way, and it brings up animosity or frustration, or anger, all out of understanding or misunderstanding, and fear, basically. That doesn't do me any good. Doesn't do anybody in my interactions any good.
Yeah.
So it's come to my frontal lobe that maybe it should stay as a very personal thing, and it is a very selective process as to who I talk about that stuff with. And
true, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's another thing is that, sure, there's going to be some people that you feel comfortable talking about that stuff with.
Yeah.
Because maybe you already know that they're on a common ground with you.
Yeah, they're reasonable.
Right. And then and they share your views. That's, some people might say that's a bubble, but in this, in this context, I would say, you have a good friendship going on, you probably share very common views. And then you can kind of go off and talk a little bit about that. But, if I'm not sure what what direction you're leaning, I'm not really gonna, because we don't need to, for me.
That's very martial arty of you.
Yeah. I guess it is.
Yeah, you're like taking a stance. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Yeah, I like that though. I really do. It's very respectful and smart.
Yeah.
It's a smart way to protect your mind.
Sure.
Because let me tell you, my personal experience with something with an adverse effect. I opened up a conversation in my heart to someone specific, and it was in a podcast setting.
Okay.
And I ran into a lot of dark places with that person.
Right.
And over time, throughout the conversation, I felt myself checking in with all of it inside me, and it wasn't sitting well.
Right.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to feel good about this person.
Right.
But clearly we were going down a certain road that was never going to be any different because of what I wanted.
Right.
And I knew that.
Right.
I knew that it's not really my place to convince that person to feel a certain way.
Sure.
But as I get deeper and deeper into their psyche, it's like, I don't feel safe in here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it really was a tested character, because it's like, well, Mike, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah.
Are you going to go with hate?
Yeah.
It's not really going to work out long term.
Yeah.
Are you going to go with distance in terms of cut that person off?
Yeah.
Start setting boundaries.
Sure.
Basically, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up, really, was setting boundaries. And then I'm still processing what all that did to me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because with any adversity, you sort of compartmentalize different aspects of what it is that you're facing.
Right.
And so as of now, this happened about a month ago. Uh-huh. And as of now, a month later, I've come around to thinking, one of the things I wanted to maybe do was like release the episode and preface it with my agenda.
Sure.
Listen, everybody, I don't feel this way. But it's kind of like blowing the whistle on somebody who trusted me to have a conversation. Right. So I don't want to take that approach.
Right.
Then the next option is I'll end the episode with some afterthoughts. Well, I think this, and ultimately it's like a judgmental perspective.
Sure.
So I backed out of that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I think I'm just going to treat it like all the other conversations. But in my personal life, that boundary that's a big wall. I ain't letting that in anymore. Yeah. Because it is serving me no way positive.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So, but it took a lot of work after we opened those doors, because there was politics, there was spirituality. Right. And I had realized it because I asked something personal. Right. Now I have to deal with you
opened that Pandora's box kind of thing, and you're like, oh, maybe I should have dialed that question back a little bit.
Yeah. But it was really, really cool and profound to see all those things about me. Right. Because I aim to learn something from every episode, every person I interact with, because this is just you and me. Right. Even though we're in here, in the recorder, this is real life. And there's really, If you like people, there's not much better than that.
Yeah.
To get to know people.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Same page.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask another question.
All right.
What is your best childhood memory?
Oh man, best childhood memory. I have a lot.
Share anything.
I'm just gonna go with what just popped into my head.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I just remember Disneyland, man. You
Really?
know,
Wow.
Yeah, I love Disneyland.
It hit you hard, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a lot of good memories. I had a great, fun childhood. I'll just rattle off a few, like a list, like Disneyland trips. You know, going to the movies with my dad, and seeing like Bruce Lee movies. You know, by the time I was born, Bruce Lee was already dead. You know,
Sure.
but his movies were, you know, they lived on, and
Yeah.
you could see like a matinee, right?
Yeah.
And you could see two of them, you know, back to back,
Yeah,
in the day, right? So that was probably my first, you know, introduction to martial arts. Is, you know, everybody, pretty much everybody in that era, their first experience with martial arts is seeing a Bruce Lee movie, right? And so I saw all those with my dad. You know, Bruce Lee movies, Bruce Lee knockoff movies, you know,
Yeah.
Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
What was it? Jet Li's one of his very first ones. It might have been his very first one with the Shaolin Temple or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember them all, but yeah, those kinds of memories. Seeing Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, I think I have that to blame for going into acting, is seeing all these great movies.
Sure. I had a similar experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Movies are a huge part of my life.
Yeah. My parents would take me as a kid, like to our movies, because they wanted to see the movie,
Yeah.
and they didn't care. They thought I was too young, and you know, they were right. I was too young to understand
Sure.
the bad, the quote unquote bad stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I saw Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke or something at a drive-in. My parents, you know, and they took me, and I fell asleep in back then we had a Mustang, it was a Ford Mustang, a 70 something, and you could put the back seats down so that you could, you know, you had well, most cars do this, but you had part of the trunk.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I would fall asleep back there, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, movies was a big thing, and Disneyland trips, man.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Such an American child.
Such an American, right? Yeah, it's so American, right?
It really is.
I'm sure I have other childhood memories, but it's
Sure.
whatever you're catching me at top of mind right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll share one of mine.
Yeah.
Because it came up when you were talking.
Okay.
One time my dad was taking me to the movies. I didn't know where the hell we were going or what we were going to see. I must have been 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
At the time, Transformers, the cartoon movie, just came out.
Yeah.
I was obsessed
Yeah.
with Transformers.
Yeah.
I mean, like, undeniably obsessed with
Yeah.
them and Thundercats.
Yeah, for sure.
And as he's driving, we're on the freeway, and I look over and I see on the marquee, it's Transformers the movie, and I'm like, man, I really want to see that. Oh, shit. I think Dad's taking me to see Transformers.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he
Yeah.
took me to see the movie Transformers. It's one of the most outstanding memories in my
For sure, man.
childhood.
And you probably weren't ready for that scene when someone in particular gets killed.
Spoiler alert?
Right? Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, well,
if you haven't seen it, I mean,
yeah. Heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking,
Very
especially if you grew up with the cartoon first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
totally.
You followed the
Yes.
cartoon
He was
episode to episode,
Yeah.
and
A true hero.
he was really. I
Yeah.
mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was the.
Very Jesus-like character.
Yeah, and he was like, I would liken his leadership style to almost Picard, right?
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Very diplomatic,
Yeah.
and fair and just.
Yeah.
And then you go see Transformers the movie, you think he's going to be kicking some serious ass in that, and then
yeah.
right through the
right
heart.
through the heart.
Come on, man.
Yeah. It's funny how archetypal characters and stories like that just like they haunt your mind.
Yeah.
You fall deeply in love with these people.
that hurt, man.
Yeah.
I was like, my childhood. What
Yeah.
did you guys do?
Yeah. Devastated. Well, then I moved on to Knight Rider, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
Found another
Yeah,
hero.
for sure.
Yeah, moving onward.
Yeah.
Do you remember a show called Street Hawk?
I do, but I
1980s.
vaguely remember it. I remember the name of it.
It's a motorcycle driving character who was the hero.
Okay.
And it was kind of like Knight Rider, but it was a motorcycle.
Okay.
And I think there was this, maybe that was a different one. Maybe it was A-Team. But there was this black helicopter that would follow the motorcycle around. I believe Nighthawk.
Okay.
Anyways, that one's a rare.
Yeah, it's
a rare throwback.
Vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
I watched so much TV. God,
Yeah, right.
Just too much.
Yeah. What was your ritual when you were a kid?
Oh man. Well, it depends on how far back.
Saturday
right?
morning. Let's say
Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. God, I watched everything, right? Smurfs.
And you had a schedule.
Yeah.
You knew
absolutely.
Yeah.
Back then, you could wake up at 6 and not feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hell, it was
couldn't
beautiful.
wait. You couldn't wait to get up at 6 because that's when it started, right?
Yeah. The sun would be gleaming through the windows.
Get yourself a bowl of cereal.
Or a slice of cheese.
Or whatever.
That's what I like.
Hey, there you go. You're in your jammies, with the little booties.
Yeah,
you know?
the little rocking chair kicking your feet out. Yeah.
And it was Smurfs, Monchi cheese. What is it? Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
Based on the game. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Dirk the Daring.
I vaguely remember that. I remember Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
Did you like Muppet Babies?
Heck yeah.
I fucking love Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies. Yeah. Heck yeah, man.
I hated Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I wasn't into Fraggle Rock.
Did you not like? Okay.
Yeah, they were a little odd looking.
Yeah, I didn't like Fraggle Rock. Tailspin? I was getting a little bit later.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit later.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, that was kind of where I started veering off.
Heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I got older, it became Robotech. Right, Robotech, the Macross Saga, Robotech Masters, and then Robotech the new generation or next generation.
Well, you out-geeked me there. I don't remember that one.
That was like an American version of anime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they all kind of were anime.
Yeah, but this is like what they really borrowed from some Japanese characters and they adapted them into like more Americanized characters.
Yeah.
It's a pretty soap operatic cartoon series.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think you might be able to catch it on Amazon or something. But
okay.
It was a 3-part series. The longest one was the first part, which was the Macross Saga, and that was probably the best one. And the middle one was just so.
Yeah.
And then the third one was pretty good. But
All right.
yeah,
I probably won't never ever
look at it.
But if I ever bump into it, I'll be like, hey,
that's
what he was. I remember this.
You can look at the years that came out and go, okay, that's how old that guy is.
Yeah. Give me my phone. I'm going to send him a message. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you have a big wheel?
I did have a big wheel.
You did have a big wheel?
I did have a big wheel.
I could still hear the sound of those plastic wheels rolling down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Skirting around.
Yeah. And then pulling that handbrake, try to get it to spin or something.
Yeah. You know, it just life was so beautiful and textural when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't all about, once the cartoons were over, time to go outside.
Yeah. Go outside.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You'd be outside all damn day.
Yeah.
Between digging up holes in the dirt.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Making mud balls, chucking them.
Forts.
Over the fence.
Flipping. All of it, all the athleticism as a child, you're so much more flexible and durable, resilient,
and you didn't look at the clock.
No, it was never enough time. Never enough time. Such a beautiful thing. I think that's what I like when I talk with people similar in age, because we can reflect on those things because they're such a big part of what I think happiness comes from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like time outside, screwing around.
Yeah.
Being on the planet.
Yeah.
And being with the planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a purity to that.
Yeah. And this whole thing with the kids watching video games and being inside all day, it's like, that's the only real problem, is you got to get them outside. Yeah. Get them outside. The rest of it, cool. Play your games. Who gives a shit? You watch what you want. Yeah. But,
spend some time outside.
Yeah. Go fucking hurt yourself.
30 minutes or something.
Yeah. Scrape your knee. Yeah. Pick the scab.
Oh, my God. Remember?
Yes.
Riding your bike.
Yes.
Trying to hit ramps and stuff.
Oh, my God. One time I was riding my brand new bike from Christmas. Yeah. And it was in Germany.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so there was like these woods around the military housing, real thick woods. Germany, it's real wet and green and, real soggy with nature.
Shout out to Deutschland.
Shout out to Deutschland. Hallo.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag for you.
Wie geht es Ihnen? Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, I took my bike out for a ride, and it just rained, and the ground was all soggy wet, and I went around a corner, and sure enough, slid on the inside of my right knee.
Oh.
And it had a gash like that.
Yeah,
Fucking, you know how you can see the little maggot looking pieces of flesh, the little fat cells, you know what I mean? And it's like I ran home crying and really just traumatized by the sight of it. I don't think it really hurt. The adrenaline was going.
Right.
And then my mom, she was the only one home, and she decides that the best thing to do is to disinfect it with rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, of course.
So she pours rubbing alcohol on it, which is almost like lighting it on fire.
You're right.
And I can't remember an injury that hurt so much that early in life that when she poured that rubbing alcohol. Yeah. So as far as bike injuries, that was the worst one.
Ouch.
Did you ever get hurt really bad as a kid?
Nothing traumatic, just this regular scrapes and bruises.
No breaks?
No breaks.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the first bone break happened probably in my 30s. And it was in a martial arts class.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you break?
It was just my thumb.
That's it, huh?
But this is how it happened. This is how it happened, though. It's crazy. So I was in Jeet Kune Do class, and in this particular teacher's class, we sparred every class. Like anytime you came into class, we always ended with sparring, and I loved that.
Sure,
I really love sparring. But anyway, we had this was a stick sparring session.
Okay.
For this particular night, I don't know why, but we had foam sticks, and in the foam, even though it's foam, there's a plastic rod that goes through the center of the foam, right? And usually that's not going to hurt you. It's not even going to break a bone. But this new guy, no martial arts experience whatsoever, which are the most dangerous
I've heard
people.
I've heard this.
He happened to have a background in lacrosse.
Okay.
So his stick swinging was, like a more advanced martial artist punch.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
And he panicked because he was panicked because he's new.
Yeah, adrenaline.
And he swung hard, and he connected with my thumb.
Wow.
And it wasn't a full break per se. It was like it chipped something. A
little fracture.
Yeah, it was, and something was floating around in there.
Yee.
Yeah. So that was my first. Yeah.
That's it though.
I didn't break anything when I was a kid.
You got some kind of luck, man.
Luck. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I didn't break anything as a kid either. I've got cuts. I've got big cuts, and then I didn't break anything till I was about 19 playing basketball at the gym.
Okay.
My fat ass broke one of my feet bones.
Did you fall or
No, I was just running and put all my weight on the corner of my foot.
Man.
And it just, you could hear it pop, snapped on the ground. And I started running the other way, and I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Stopped, took it to the hospital,
man.
got a cast.
Yeah.
Cut the cast off early because I was too itchy and just a fat, moody child.
It has an effect on you. Though.
It does.
They say that a cast causes depression because you feel like a caged animal.
Yeah, and it drives you nuts not being able to access that part of your body.
Yeah.
No
matter how moderately you might use it, you still you feel kind of like.
I think that's underlooked when it comes to the healing process, as far as like encapsulating a part of your body so that it's not accessible. It drives you nuts.
Yeah, it does.
So I think, you know what? Next time I have a problem with somebody in public who has a cast on, I'll be a little more compassionate.
A little more compassionate? Yeah.
Give me some perspective.
That's good.
That's
good. That's what it was all about, learning.
Yeah. Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, when I was a child, when you're a really young child, you have no idea. So I wanted to be an army man, but that was just like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of.
No idea. But no, I think what I really wanted to do, was be an artist, draw,
Okay.
and I wanted to draw. I didn't necessarily want to draw, panels in comics, but I wanted to draw the covers.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a piece of art.
Sure.
And I've gotten back into art, actually, over the past few years.
I saw that. We can talk about that when you're ready, but yeah.
Yeah, and, but yeah, it's one of those things where, your parents are trying to do the best they can for you, so they kind of tell you, well, you got to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Sure.
So I never really dove into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of a thing I regret.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But being able to get back into it now, at least on the side, is better than nothing. You know, so
For sure.
Yeah.
Tap into all those things that are kind of floating around in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you do start losing your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to knowing what you wanted to be when you grew up, I wanted to be an Army guy, well, Air Force guy.
Right.
But same idea.
Yeah.
It's like this masculinity thing.
Yeah.
Like the idea of being a warrior,
Yeah.
having access to weapons
Yeah.
and large tools to...
Do you have a military background? Are you
Military brat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my dad was Air Force, and
okay.
and my stepdads were Air Force,
Okay.
and yeah, so I grew up on the plantation.
Oh, wow. My dad was Air Force Reserves or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had a little taste,
Little
of it
bit
here
little
and
bit.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. That's what I did for the first half of my life, was travel the world on the military's dime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an experience.
It really is. It's funny because when I finally came back to the States to live permanently, it was a culture shock, and a weird one because I'm an American, but I haven't lived in any one place for
Right.
a long period of time
Right.
until I moved back here. But coming back was like, okay, I guess I'm a European American. I don't know what I am,
Yeah.
but back into the States, in a southern part of the U.S., there's some residual racism
Sure.
floating around.
Sure.
And I was sort of naive to it. And then when I finally witnessed whatever I thought I witnessed, it was like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I couldn't really conceptualize racism
Right.
because I had been everywhere else where it's not really a thing. I think stereotypes and prejudgment on people is fairly normal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny.
Right.
When you take aggression and hate out of it, it's just funny stuff.
Right.
But yeah, as far as racism, never really, I couldn't conceptualize it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, military, yeah, that made me want to be that was like the manly thing to do, right?
I guess so.
You currently are a project manager for a marketing
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
If there's anything else you could do, what would that be? Or are you doing what exactly you want to do?
Yeah, it's funny, I'm in sort of flux. Like I said earlier, like I've kind of taken a step back from acting. Probably maybe 5 years ago, I would have answered acting, right? Full time.
Sure.
Right. I don't know, if that would be the thing now.
Yeah. Let me turn that off.
Oh, sure. No
Son
worries.
of a bitch. I've done this almost every fucking podcast now.
Yeah.
You'd
your
think I'd learn.
Phone goes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always open to more possibilities, open to opportunities out there,
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say for sure that it would be acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you're a writer as well. You just have that creative.
Yeah, I gotta do something. I have an itch, right?
Yeah.
Gotta scratch that creative itch.
Yeah.
And that's what we are like in this community, right?
Yeah.
The acting community. So, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy drawing too. So, I mean, maybe I'll do some more of that, and maybe not comic book covers, but drawing, and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. Whatever it is you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same for me.
I mean, I think I have a lot of passions,
Yeah. I understand that.
or interests, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to be super passionate about one of the interests.
Yeah.
I even like martial arts, and I even like the idea of teaching some of that. Not necessarily in a school setting, but like self-defense for women or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That would be really interesting and fun, I think.
Yeah. And very fulfilling.
Yeah. So not like a school setting per
Sure.
se, but like a one-off.
Yeah.
Or several one-offs, workshop type of things.
Yeah, like a consulting.
Yeah,
Self-defense consulting.
Yeah. Because to me, I really like the idea of people being able to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. I wrote this down. I'll just ask it.
Okay.
And then you answer it however you want.
Okay.
What are the top 3 most helpful things to know about either acting or martial arts?
Oh, top 3.
Yeah. I mean, you can spout out more if you want, but
Man, we're getting deep over here.
I'd like to know these things because they are what make you
Yeah.
the vibration that I sense that you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Top 3 things to know.
Or for you.
Or for me.
For you, from your experience.
From my experience.
Yeah. Like
If
what
I was-
stands out when you think
Like
about...
if I was giving advice to another actor
Yeah,
who's kind of starting out or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Number 1, know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know? Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of people get into it because they want to, money and fame, right? And then when that doesn't happen, then what are you left with?
Yeah.
You're an empty shell.
Yeah.
Or you really love telling stories and you really love going at it and doing it, right?
Yeah.
Or you're like me and I get into it thinking that I love telling stories and really I'm looking for external validation, and then now I'm taking a step back from it because I don't need it.
Yeah, but you know what? To give you credit for that was just a process you needed to experience.
Absolutely.
And I think it gave you some really cool introspect
Right.
about yourself. So
Right.
wouldn't change that for anything.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll try to add some practical advice in there. Number 2, get training.
Yeah.
And be prepared. Don't go into it thinking that it's because a lot of people approach acting like it's easy.
I do that.
Yeah, because you watch movies and you watch TV and you're so exposed to it. It's such a big part of watching shows or watching movies is such a big part of American culture that we think that anybody can do it because you sit there and you see it every day.
Yeah.
And then once you get on set, suddenly you're not prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on sets, and I'm not trying to throw any people under the bus or our community under the bus, but I've been on sets where people just don't know their lines.
Oh, trust me, I know that feeling.
And it's like, why do you not know your lines? That's your job.
Yeah.
You don't learn your lines on set.
Yeah.
You learn them before you get here.
Yeah.
And that goes back to discipline. That goes back to how you were in school, right? Did you study in school?
Right.
Because you need to read your lines and study your lines.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the lines too, right?
Right.
So
it's about everybody in the process, respecting the process.
Absolutely, because you're disrespecting
Yeah.
your fellow actor. You're disrespecting the people that hired you.
Yeah, totally.
Try not to drag on because I know you have other questions. I don't.
No, it's fine, man.
On,
I mean, let's explain. If you're feeling moved by it, I like what you're saying about that in particular because I've been on the opposite end of that as well.
Yeah.
I've done both sides where I come in ill prepared,
right?
And I feel the negative energy that creates,
right?
And so I try to take responsibility for that, especially now that I've known that,
right?
But I've also been on the receiving end when somebody is there taking up time and space and just abstracting all the good things for garbage.
Right.
We're all like waiting.
Right.
And it's so disappointing.
Right.
But it bonds other actors too around it.
It does. It does.
It gives you an opportunity to be like, this fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
I do know.
I do like that part too.
Yeah. I guess number 3 would be to gosh, where was I going to go with this? Adjust your expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is a thing that I've talked to people about before, and sometimes your best work, and this is the hardest part about acting, sometimes your best work happens in an audition.
Yeah.
And no one ever sees it because you don't book the role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So adjust your expectations.
Yeah. No, that's great.
You might rock that audition, and that might be the best performance you've ever given in your life, and you're probably going to have multiple times where you do that, and no one will ever know it.
Yeah.
That's
brilliant. No, because I have fond memories of certain auditions where I killed it.
Right.
And I know
you killed it. And they tell you killed it.
Yeah.
Right?
But it just didn't.
But for some other reason outside of your control,
yes,
and probably has nothing to do with your talent.
Correct.
You didn't get the job.
Absolutely. That is great advice because a lot of people walk away feeling less than
Right.
when they really shouldn't.
Right.
And honestly, I think your audition should be treated like the job itself.
Right.
Because if you go in there
Yes.
under that pressure and you perform and you feel good about your performance, that's the only thing you need to really worry about.
Right.
Because the outcome is not something you can predict.
Right. And that is your job.
Yeah.
Auditioning.
Yeah.
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 For sure.
Brilliant. That's wonderful.
Yeah, man.
That's so soothing. To
Right.
get validated
Right.
about that.
Right. And then I just want to throw 3A in there.
Go
which
for
is,
it, man.
Which is part of that. And that is, those rejections can get you down.
Absolutely.
And you have to make sure that you give yourself that space to process it.
Yep.
And what the big word these days is self-care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you don't book that, give yourself time to feel whatever it is you're feeling.
Yeah.
You might feel angry about it, frustrated, sad, depressed even.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to, punch something, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
hurt
yeah.
yourself.
Sure.
But give yourself that time to process whatever it is you're going through,
Yeah.
the disappointment. And then my other part of that is give yourself a time limit. So don't, what I mean? Don't dwell on it for too long and really give yourself a time limit. Like actually stated in your head, I'm going to give myself whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to give myself a day.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm giving myself a week.
Sure.
But set a maximum. And then you have to force yourself, as hard as it can be, to say, okay, once that week or whatever it is gone, I have to let it go.
Right.
And that's,
you got to get back in the driver's seat.
And that's your promise to yourself is that, once that time is up, no holding on to it.
That's smart living. Because that translates in any failure you experience.
Absolutely.
You just gotta, because I think you're hitting on something important too, is to just recognize it. You don't have to deny it.
Right.
Because it's happening.
Don't fucking go around, like I've had guys tell me, they're actors and they're like, well, I don't think of it as rejection. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? It's an opportunity for me to act, and whether they book me or not. Well, if that works for you, fine, but get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's still rejection.
Right.
Let's not call it something else.
Yeah. Well, human feelings are a real thing, and it's okay to talk about.
And it's okay to have those feelings.
Yeah, totally.
Because they're in you.
Yeah.
They're built in you. You're a person. You're a human being.
Yeah, and it's funny because just because things aren't verbalized doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah,
they do exist,
right.
And they're happening in your reality.
Yeah,
and if you don't work it out,
if
you don't test your theories, then you'll end up trapped. And then you'll be one of those people.
You can call Dookie a brownie, but it ain't gonna taste good when you know what I mean.
When I don't want a bite of that.
Yeah, get that out of here.
Yeah. That's great advice, man.
Let's see, martial arts. Wow. Okay. One, and this is like Bruce Lee shit, because he was a philosopher already, and he said so many good things. Yeah. But number one, he says, empty your cup, right? Mm-hmm. Empty your cup, which is, take all your preconceived notions out of the picture and just learn. Just go in and learn.
Yeah.
I think. If you go in with expectations and you're going to be hard on yourself if you're not getting it right away, or if you go in and you think you already think some style is better than this other guy's style, then you're really approaching it from the wrong place. Yeah. Right. What else? For martial arts, number two, our school was pretty good about this, but there's like a lot of schools have that one guy, So
Which is that guy?
Don't be a dick, man. You know what I mean? Our school, I have to say, our school doesn't have that kind of, it breeds pretty good people out of there. But I've witnessed some schools where either the teacher himself is kind of throwing his weight around and really kind of cocky and kind of a dick. Or one of his senior students is a little too aggro. You know what I mean? Yeah. Beating up white belts and whatnot. Or yelling and screaming and whatnot. You know? I remember I went to this one school, and I won't mention the name of it, but and I didn't last long because I decided to just I wasn't getting my money's worth, and it was it was just not the way I learn. Yeah. I was doing something. I was a beginner at whatever it was, and my stance was wrong or something like that. And this senior student comes up and he's just yelling at me from the get go. Where's your stance? Where's your foundation? What are you doing? How come you're standing like that? Right? And and so I go, I don't know. I'm brand new, right? So I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adjust, and I'm making adjustments. And then all he's doing is yelling at me, telling me it's wrong. And I'm fine being told I'm wrong, but help me fix it.
Yeah.
Show me the solution.
Yeah.
And he never got to that. I was asking him, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I supposed to do? Yeah. And then he just kept on repeating himself about how wrong I was. I'm like, yes. And I had to keep repeating myself. Well, what am I supposed to do? Yeah. How am I supposed to stand? And I was just so turned off by that because I'm paying for this, number one. Number two, this guy's just chewing my ass, and I hadn't done anything wrong, right? Yeah. I mean, not to him anyway. Sure. And I need to learn. I want to be corrected, right? But he wasn't correcting me. Yeah. He was just taking out whatever, whatever frustration it is. So I guess I guess don't be a dick, but also be, learn how to teach.
Yeah.
Learn an effective way of teaching. And I know that senior students aren't necessarily the main teacher, but they are kind of expected to carry some of that weight and transfer some of that knowledge.
Some leadership.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So,
well, leadership is an attitude.
Absolutely.
It really is. And that's cool to hear.
That guy must have had a bad day or something. I don't know, but...
well, it happens. But you know what? Sometimes, in order to be humbled, you got to force out all that stupid macho crap.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes you need to be slapped around.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
And that can happen more than physically, but life has a way of correcting karma.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you said that there's one in typically every crowd is kind of what you were saying. Well, it's funny how in every scenario where space is shared amidst human beings, you get different personalities put in that. I mean, inevitably, one in every crowd. There are times when you are the one in every crowd.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Somebody has told a story about a douchebag that was me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Because we're all reflections of each other, right?
Wonderful concept.
Yeah. Let's see. Third, I don't know. Well, let's see. These are good questions, man. I have to dig a little bit.
But all of the answers they correlate with other profound things in life.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked about those two in particular, those are obviously the most outstanding things about your resume.
Right.
That you are this and you are this,
right.
and you clearly spend a lot of time investing in those social identities.
Right.
So there's fruit to that labor.
So third, this is a practical piece of advice for martial arts, and this applies to any discipline. And you'll get this right away. Get your reps in. That's my thing.
Okay.
Man,
Okay.
If you're practicing your form or you're practicing a technique, you gotta drill it over and over until you get to 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000 reps.
Yeah.
And that's the same with acting.
Yeah.
If you are not off the book of your script and you run those lines until you can say them forwards and backwards.
Yep.
You can say them walking around the room.
Yeah.
And you can say them with whatever kinds of intentions and whatever kind of emotions, and however, all these variations.
Yeah.
So get your reps in.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Do the groundwork.
Yeah. It's all that is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we talk about technology and whatnot, and I might be going off on a little tangent, but technology is moving so fast and you can do so many things, but human beings haven't really evolved to catch up and stay with the technology. We still need the practical practice, the reps. Get the reps in. We your phone can do all this stuff. It can calculate all this stuff right away. Google can pull up something in a flash, but we as human beings, we're not going to get that technique down, or we're not going to get off book on that script unless we put in the time and the hard work. Yeah. We can't upload it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
I think another way to put it is that we are technology.
Right.
And until we've mastered the technology that is God-given,
Right.
that we're born with, there's no reason to think that we'll master anything else sufficiently.
Right.
So it's a balance
Yeah.
because it's not going anywhere and it's accessible.
Yeah.
Fine. It can be a tool
Yeah.
to enhance your experience utilizing yourself and the
Right.
technology within.
Right.
And I think that's very profound. I think also evolutionary wise, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's a trend. People are looking for self-responsibility.
Right.
It is a thing. And I love it because when people paint a bleak picture about the future, it's not necessarily, if that's what you want to see,
Yeah.
that's what you'll get.
Yeah.
But you can also look at the positives.
Right.
And I think if you're a logical, rational, healthy type person,
Yeah.
you inevitably we have chemistry.
Yeah.
Because we think sort of the same way.
Right.
And I think I aim to exploit that in people because you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
In terms of, getting something out of an exchange.
Right.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get to express what you've learned,
Yeah.
which is also teaching me and yourself at the same time.
Yep.
And then anybody who's listening can extract or abstract the same concepts and use them or not.
Right.
Do whatever you want.
Right.
Because we all grow at our own pace.
Yeah.
You may not be on this page yet, and
That's right.
you're probably not even listening to the podcast if
Right.
that's the case, and
Right.
so be it.
Everyone's evolving at their own pace.
Yeah.
And and that means that you might not hang out with them until they catch up.
Sure. Yeah.
And
yeah.
vice versa.
And that's totally fine.
And vice versa.
Which when you have that in mind, you no longer look at it judgmentally.
Yeah.
It is just a fact,
Yeah.
a fact of reality, and it's easy to compartmentalize it and say, well, when you're ready,
Right.
because otherwise I'm busy,
Right.
busy doing production, productive things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to kind of like speed it up, I guess.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Running out of time,
Sure.
but I want to say we have a lot more in common than I thought, especially in our youth. You grew up very similar ways. You had a lot of similar experiences in terms of perspective on things and what you hold dear in your heart as far as your experiences. And then two, I feel the creative energy. I mean, you reached out to me fairly progressively
Yeah.
to get on the show, and I want to say thank you for one, but also respect that, and that as I evolve in this podcasting thing, I'd like to have you more involved as well, because if you're moved to create,
Right.
we can do stuff,
Right.
man. Things
Right.
can explode and
Right.
we'll splatter the media, and they can
Right.
shove it up there,
Yeah.
So let's see. Let me skip some questions.
Sure.
I actually talked to him. Okay, well, this is a pretty good one, and we'll kind of
All right.
segue from this to my last little
Okay.
segment. But if you could change any one major social issue, what would it be, and how would you do it?
Wow. I feel like this is like some kind of beauty pageant where I'm trying to.
So be it.
Yeah.
You're on the spot.
Yeah. Answer the social issue. Man.
Yeah. So the media. What has it done? What do you think?
There's so much. Yeah, man.
Because there's climate change. There's racism. There's politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if this counts, but I might be thinking too idealistically, but the concept of meritocracy, right? Where
Can you explain that to me? I don't know what meritocracy is.
So like I'll try to hook it into the acting thing. So like when people get on social media and start talking about what actor was hired for what part, they talk about because there's been there's been a lot of changes in casting movies. They're trying to be more diverse. For example.
Okay.
So people will get on and you know how the internet is, these trolls get on and they talk about, well, they should just hire the best actor for the job, regardless of color.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do we have to, basically
Sure.
they're kind of chafed by the diversity factor.
Yeah.
But you and I both know that that acting and getting booked for jobs and getting hired is not necessarily based on merit.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
How many shows or TV or movies or even projects around here have you seen pretty, poor actors, in these projects?
We won't get into that.
Right. that clearly, could use some improvement.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
I understand, but I get it.
Right.
I have an opinion too.
Right. They're not that great. Yet they're hired.
It's hard to watch.
Right. It's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch.
But that's just how life is, and how pretty much every industry is.
Yes.
That there is no fairness. There is no meritocracy. Right?
Yeah.
It's not based on merit. It might be based on who you know.
Yeah.
Who knows you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, there's a great blessing to being in the industry at the capacity that you are.
Yeah.
And it is that you get some extra perspective that people who just watch movies, who don't do acting, who aren't necessarily the creative type in media, some things are hard to stomach, but at the same time, there's a really great benefit to seeing things for what they are. Yeah. When you see these biases happen, you're like, but that doesn't fit with the story or what have you, whatever the thing is.
Right. I don't know if that's a social issue, but it definitely, I think it's part of, say, for example, fair pay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hiring practices in other industries. So I guess it does touch on a social aspect of it, social issue. Yeah.
Well, it's also a byproduct of the lifestyle or the career field of make-believe. Right. Because there's no real way to measure the process of the full production. Right. I mean, there's a skeleton, structure of how to make something happen, but all the little idiosyncratic decisions that get actors into those roles, right? It goes through a channel of people that all have different agendas. Right. You know what I mean? And I think the more that money's involved, the larger the production is, it gets so tainted with all things good and bad. Right. So it's hard to really navigate that. But I think based on what you're saying, it's be good for people to have a wider perspective. Right. Right. Essentially. Yeah. Don't be so narrow-minded about what you're looking at. Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course you mentioned racism, and of course we want to solve that, but I don't really have much of a solution to that, other than, just people getting, maybe people need to get out more and expose,
True.
Travel.
True.
What's that quote? Something about, there's somebody said some famous quote about traveling will make you, more, I don't know what it was. It had something to do with racism, but less racist, I guess, but it broadens your horizons. Yeah. Right. If you see how much more we have in common just as human beings, yes, we all just here to, try to get by. We're all here trying to get by. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We're trying to make good memories.
Yeah, exactly. We're all human beings with the same needs, love, and we want food and shelter. Yeah. And really to be left alone, why,
Yeah, if for the right reason, we want relationships, we want support, and we want, all the resources for prosperity. Right. But yeah, I agree with that. I think it's there. Yeah. I think like you said before about how you mitigate your social media. Yeah. You kind of touched on it, where if there are people or relationships in your life that aren't conducive to a future you see for yourself, why would you let that leak in? Yeah. I recently had made a conscious decision to set up a very firm boundary, because there were some moral violations that are really dangerous. Really dangerous and poisonous to have in your circle or in your your immediate thinking. So I understand that, but it's nice to hear other ninjas out there, deflecting bad energy. Yeah, yeah. And it's really interesting, this process of aiming for the stars. so to speak, is that you run into and inevitably meet other people who are stargazers alike.
Yeah.
And I got so much admiration for the way your mind works. And that, topically, you don't lean in one thing or another. You're not caught up in politics. You're not caught up in, dangerous media ideologies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So good for you. All right, I'll make this the last question. And like I said, I want to do this again.
Okay.
Are you down?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
Sure.
I also want to experiment with other actors and do maybe some sketch.
Yeah.
Maybe we could, because I don't know of any podcasting that does sketch comedy.
Yeah.
With podcasting.
So it's like you're talking about old radio days where they
Yeah.
used to do radio dramas.
Yeah.
And just act shit out on a microphone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking for a segment, getting like the iPad and having sound effects set up on the soundboard or whatever.
Yeah.
And we would just improvise.
Yeah.
And, it'd be like a door opening or a gunshot.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And then us just playing through. So we could try that.
Improv on the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm so fucking stoked for that. And plus we know all these cool people.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
would be so down for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is a random one, just to tag on to that last topic.
Okay.
Have you ever experienced Asian privilege?
Asian privilege. I think, yes, and I don't know if it's direct, but I've maybe sort of witnessed it or felt it. Nothing concrete, but I know what you're driving at.
Yeah.
It's that, there's a stereotype that we're all well behaved,
Sure.
we follow the rules,
Sure.
things like that. And so, we are kind of left alone for the most part, yeah. It's not, like I said, it's not something that's concrete, but I could see where, we're not going to be the ones that are going to be pulled over when we're driving necessarily,
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we do, the most that'll happen is we get the ticket, right?
Sure.
Or if you're just hanging out and you're loitering, no one's really gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's I've never experienced it.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you never have.
Not really, but I mean, I could see where, you know what I mean? Like, I
do.
could see how that could be a thing.
It's hard to put into words.
It's hard to put in words if you haven't experienced it.
safely do so,
So I don't want to talk about it if I haven't really,
Yeah. Fair.
experienced
Sure,
it.
sure,
Because
sure.
I might be talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
But I could see where
Yeah.
there's an expectation of us being studious, good rule following
Sure.
people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Or if you're, like there's some sort of unearned respect
Yeah.
at times, and it's unsettling because it's like, I haven't earned that respect. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What
So
are
we
you-
might be the last. We might be the last person to consider being, you know what I mean, being the criminal or the
Sure.
or the shady person.
Sure, maybe.
Maybe.
I think it's really down to personal presentation too.
Sure.
There's no guarantees no matter what.
Right.
But I think on the surface, I'll speak from my own experience. When I'm around other Asian people, it's hard to say because I'm not really uneasy around many people.
Yeah.
And I think I've been trained that way to sort of settle in no matter where I'm at. I find a way. But I think in a lot of cases, I do notice when I'm the only colored person in a room.
Yeah.
I do notice that.
Yeah.
Which is its own weird thing because not every white person is white.
Right.
They have other backgrounds.
Other blends in there.
Yeah, but it's a weird effect of reality.
Yeah.
And the concepts we all walk around with in terms of our cultural differences.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bizarre thing. But yeah, it was really about, you never been in a situation where because you're Asian, you're treated better than anybody else, or you're given, a free pass for anything.
Yeah. I know where you're going with it. I don't think I've ever really experienced that kind of thing.
Good.
Yeah. But I could see society-wise,
Yeah.
I could see certain things being let go.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah.
Not personally.
Not personally.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah, because I've actually been followed around in a store before. So
Really?
yeah.
At when was this?
I don't remember when. And I think I don't know if I was bald already.
Yeah.
Because that, appearances can kind of affect how people. I can't remember if I was bald already, but there was a camera store. I'm not going to name the camera store because I can't remember the name of it.
Right.
But it was here in Sac. It was a camera store.
Yeah.
And I was just literally the only person in the store as far as customers.
Okay.
And I was walking around looking at stuff. I did need a part.
Yeah.
I was getting a part.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was just looking.
Right.
I had to get.
You had a mission.
I had a mission. I was going to get something. I was going to buy something. But I was looking around, and the guy was just like really, just kind of. I can't say following me, but he was just on me and like just asking me every 5 minutes, "Can I help you with something? Can I help you with something?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I said I'm fine.
Exactly. It was one of those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you back off, right? But it was just kind of odd, like at first I thought nothing of it, because I was the only customer in there. So I was like, maybe he's just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
And eventually I bought my thing. And then, maybe a little bit later I thought about it and I was like, that guy was like kind of in my in my grill a little bit, you know what I mean?
I'm looking for a can of Raid because you bugging me right now.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up. It just
They're just weird instances.
Instances.
They really are, because it's almost like you're wearing somebody else's skin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I've never been in this situation. I'm a perpetrator of sorts, and this person's mine.
Yeah.
It's weird to like settle into those shoes, because it's like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Bizarre. It's bizarre aspects of reality sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you're decorated by nature in some specific way.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
It's a unique existence too, because it literally is like a full-time Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
I guess so.
Personally. I know I look a certain way, and I can feel certain reactions to the way I look.
Yeah.
And especially from Hispanic people.
Right.
It's always like, what do you know? And I'm like, I don't know much, but we could work it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just find that, as a minority of sorts.
I guess so. I think going back to what we talked about earlier, I go through life just being me.
Yeah.
And then it's usually somebody else will remind me that I'm different.
Yeah.
And I'll suddenly be like, wake up from my...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I am the only one in this room. I am the only one in this cast. Right? So that's,
Yeah. I get the same sign-blinded notion.
Yeah. Because you don't go through life. I mean, I don't go through life.
I have.
Thinking
I've
about
used
it all the time.
to my advantage.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a new situation. Like, for instance, I moved to New Mexico at some point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who look like me down there.
Yeah.
And as a new person in town trying to fit in, it made things a little easier.
Yeah. Well,
nobody batted an eye.
That makes sense.
In some situations, because it was like, oh, he's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So I use that to my advantage.
That makes sense.
Kind of slide in next to somebody and say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. I think ever since I shaved my head, people just don't know what the hell I am, so they just don't.
Fair.
It just never.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless they're really being jerks, but then you got to go to a lot of effort because
Well, you're also built well.
Yeah.
You're also fit, and bald and fit almost looks like, I don't know, like a dangerous weapon.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
Yeah. Like I can.
Hey, Sarge.
like I can fuck somebody up.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I think. And then the mustache, the look altogether is like, he's practicing something.
that motherfucker, he knows some shit.
About to chop the shit out of me. Okay, let's see. I think we'll just, they should be a few minutes. I'll ask this because I want to know.
All right.
Would you want fame and celebrity status?
It's like you just don't know what it is until it hits you, right? So I don't really have a educated guess on that, but I would say it would be nice in some ways. you know,
Sure.
but it's not, let's just put it this way. It's not something I'm chasing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for a long time when I was younger, I was so serious about acting. I was so going for it all the time. And it's just exhausting, you know? I've learned to sort of, and this is a term I heard somewhere, or it might've been a meme, but, you know, I no longer chase the cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And if the cat comes to me, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if the cat doesn't come to me,
Yeah.
that's fine too.
Yeah.
You know what I
Funny analogy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. We have a cat here in the house.
Yeah.
Growing up, whenever we had cats, I would torment the cats.
Yeah.
Not in a vicious, violent, disturbing sort of way.
Right.
But I was always in their space like, hey, I want to fuck with you. You're my cat. That was my attitude.
Right.
And here she's been with us, I don't know, a few months now.
Yeah.
And started out as a little nervous kitten.
Yeah.
And I let her be.
Yeah.
And she's formulated her own personality amidst us. And she's laissez blah. You know, if you pick her up, she's all whatever you want to do. Or like she'll come and she'll let me know when she wants to fuck around. She'll scratch me and be like, come on, bitch, let's go.
Yeah.
And then we'll play. And so like it's this give and take.
Right.
Whereas before I used to be like, hey, you're my cat.
All up in the
I'm an asshole.
space.
Do what I want, you know?
And that's when the cat doesn't want to be with you.
Exactly. So. And it's funny that you use that analogy and then to see that experience of mine and be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Energetically, it's the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Don't chase it, man.
Don't chase the fucking cat. Let the cat come to you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And it might not come to you.
It may not.
And you got to be okay with it.
You got to respect that shit.
Yeah, you got, because that's how life's just going to
Absolutely.
unfold.
That's why they call him a cool cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking amazing. All right, last thing.
All right, man.
I call this part road rage.
Okay.
And it's really an opportunity for you to either vent on literal road rage, issues with the streets and driving around, if you want, or any pet peeve, any whatever, personal pet peeve that you, something you've wanted to say to somebody.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have prepared better for this.
No, don't, because it's authentic. I can give you an example.
Okay.
Because every show I have a pet peeve. I want.
Okay, because I want an example, because I kind of want to know your format.
Excellent.
You know
well, there's
I mean?
not really the format is just a vent of sorts.
Okay, I just want to.
Adults, and I may have used this before, but adults who use public restrooms.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's difficult to clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I understand some parts, right? Like some of the mess you can't really get to easily.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, give you that.
Yeah.
But you have some say in where that stuff goes.
Yeah.
And when you walk away and leave that remnants of yourself, don't you recognize that is you?
Yeah.
That's how you conduct life?
Yeah.
Is you leave bits and pieces of you in rooms and you don't think people notice this shit?
Yeah.
Think about it. Clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
So that's
okay. So it could be that.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It could be deeper.
It's really, it's like, you know how you run into these things in life and there's nobody there to really hear you out.
Yeah.
But it's in you.
Yeah.
So it's just that. Anything.
All right.
Any little thing, any big thing.
I just like the whole going back to don't be a dick.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm just because you have stand up comedy experience.
Some very little,
but you know the kind of the comedy world and stuff, and that whole. Did you remember that whole Shane Gillis thing?
No.
Okay, he was a comedian that they just fired off he was hired by Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
And then they fired him right away because they found this podcast of his actually, and it was
really?
It was a video podcast where he was going off on Chinese people, Chinese, being very racist, basically, and it wasn't in the format of a joke. It was just him and this other guy, and you really, if you listen to it, it's like they're complaining about Chinatown, Chinese people that live there, and they even use a racial slur.
Right. It's what's in his heart, clearly.
Yeah. And it wasn't a clever joke or take on it.
Sure.
It was just like, and then, so I think it's like, that kind of thing really chaps my ass. It's like, and trying to pass it off as, cancel culture is saying that I can't say this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, you are a comedian.
Yeah.
And just because you're a comedian doesn't give you free license to just say
Yeah.
whatever. And you can say whatever. That's fine, but you need to understand the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Right? And, you have one job, and that's to write jokes.
Yeah.
And it should be a joke. It should be clever. There should be some thought process behind that instead of simply just saying racist stuff
Sure.
and passing that off as,
Yeah.
as a joke.
Right.
I mean, if I was to write a script and try to make a whole feature-length movie just complaining about people and putting a bunch of racist statements in there, that's not a movie.
Right.
So it's like, so that's kind of my little rant.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. My stand-up, it's very limited, and I recorded most of them, if not all of them. I don't.
Yeah.
But there was 2 different characters I would do. One was just me.
Yeah.
And how I saw myself at the time. And I'll give you a more descriptive version of that. But the other one was a character.
Yeah.
It was like a really flamboyant, homosexual-esque kind of voice.
Right.
But it was a straight guy who had a girlfriend who was a bull dyke. And this is a really weird, paradoxical kind of, comedy.
Right.
Which was better than what it was just me being me.
Right.
And what I mean by that is after watching myself, and it took a couple years to really come to terms with the reality of this.
Right.
There was some racist elements to what I was saying.
You're right.
Some misunderstood, misguided perspective of my own on the existence in this body.
Right.
Looking Mexican specifically, and what I face as a non-Mexican Mexican.
Right.
And in intimate spaces with people that you trust, you can kind of exploit that part of your humor.
Sure.
Because people are forgiving and they know you're really just poking at something.
There's context.
Yeah.
And you have a relationship.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But looking back at myself in that time and with what I thought was truth, it was, let's just put it this way, without beating myself up, it was a learning experience.
Sure.
And hopefully the guy you're talking about really walked away with the important lesson, which is you need to check what's in your heart.
Right.
Before you go publicly announcing your perspective on things.
Right.
But I thought that was really interesting that was your pet peeve. And I'm like, oh shit.
No, but see, you've evolved from it.
Sure.
And you're able to reflect on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know that because he came out with an apology, and not that I care one way or another.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I really don't care.
But it's the principle of what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really care about this person, and I honestly don't care about what he talked about, to be honest with you. It's because racism is here to stay.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Sure.
But just the whole, so many people coming to his defense was kind of eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Him giving a half-ass apology, which, again, like I said, I don't care whether he apologizes or not, but just a half-ass apology, meaning he didn't reflect on it, know. And maybe it'll take time, for him to
really come around,
to come to terms with it, yeah. Do I believe everybody needs to be canceled? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think he can still redeem himself down the road.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, you looked back on your old work. And, And, it just, I don't know. I just think using the word or using the title comedian to sort of give yourself a free pass is kind of the real...
Well, it's a naive thing to do, and you're going to feel the wrath of that type of decision making.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just top of mind. It's not like I don't want people thinking when they're listening to this that this is something that I'm, constantly.
But I agree with. So here's the thing: like the principle of what happened with that person bothered you in the sense that he's not willing to look at himself and his thought process.
Yeah.
And everybody's challenged to do that these days. And to come out with some formal apology that's not really true in nature is like, because if you're humbled, you'll sit there in sort of disgust about what you have learned.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's the other thing I wanted to touch on, is that it's important to know the dark parts of you.
Right.
As much as it is to know the light parts of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really creates a well-balanced person, and
Right.
also really creates an entrepreneur sort of spirit.
Right.
Because if you know your demons,
Yeah.
you can not only help yourself
Yeah.
in stressful situations, but you can help other people
Yeah.
who are,
Yeah.
engulfed in the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
Which I think is the really dangerous thing about acting.
Yeah.
Is it is a really self-indulgent process.
Yeah, it is.
But if you get so caught up in, when you start getting cocky,
Yeah.
if you're not careful or if you're not aware of what's happening, you can end up in a really, really bad situation.
Yeah.
If you don't catch it early on.
Right. Right.
It's like losing a dream job.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
I think that's really what got you is like, dude, you just fucked your whole life
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
because you didn't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have other road rage too. That just, I don't know, that just popped into my head.
Sure.
Because I'm sitting here and I wasn't prepared for the question.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, okay, this is deep.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of anger out there too. That's another, speaking of road rage, I mean, if we want to go literal,
Yeah.
there's just, it's sad to see that there's so much anger out there. People are a lot less patient with each other,
Yeah.
with strangers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Too quick to judge.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. That's why I don't agree with violence as a measure of solving problems.
Yeah.
And a violent thought
Yeah.
and mind you, we're all human.
Yeah.
And we get
Sure.
pushed in our buttons. And
Yeah, sure.
We're vulnerable
Yeah.
to the dark side of ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you have your wherewithal, in most cases,
Yeah.
you really would do yourself a favor and keep an eye on you,
Yeah.
because who knows what and where and when
Yeah.
the worst thing could happen.
Take a step back.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Yeah, man. Breathe.
Yeah, man.
That's a good...
Shoot.
That
yeah.
ties into martial arts and acting.
Yeah, martial arts will teach you. It's funny, you go into martial arts thinking you're going to learn how to kick someone's ass, and then you come out of it not wanting to kick anybody's
Right,
ass.
right.
It's a real strange
It's beautiful.
paradox,
Yeah. Beautiful thing.
Because you know how much you could potentially do to somebody,
Yeah.
and you don't want to do that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think it's really hard to put into words, especially encapsulated in a few minutes. There's
Yeah.
no way to really do that, but going through the process would
Yeah.
probably clear that up for you.
Yeah.
Jason, thanks a million, man.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Yeah.
This was a blast.
This was amazing. And like I said, we'll make it happen again.
Yeah, I hope you got what you wanted, man.
There's no possible way I can get everything. Usually this would go 3-4 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel, especially with you,
Yeah.
I think we're on a good page with each other.
Cool, man.
I think we could easily dig in a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that I ask you some deep questions and maybe you verbalize the discomfort, but you fucking go for it anyway.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is too deep. Yeah. I hope you like my Thanksgiving
Yeah.
fall time.
You are on point with this. Yeah.
Set the mood.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Excellent.
At least it's not Christmas decorations already.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Well, everyone I ever meet goes here in this book. And now I met you, and you're going in the book. I'm just